welcome to Real Life, Real Talk. My name is Benyaacov Kurtzman, and I'm sitting here with a great friend of mine, Loraine Otoo. And hi, Loraine.
Hi Dov, how are you?
Yeah, great, thanks.
It's great to be with you, sitting here with you today.
And what an amazing place. We're sitting here at the Royal Exchange in central Manchester, and it's actually the first time that I've been inside the building, and it's such a beautiful place.
It is absolutely a beautiful place. It's got a lot of history to it as well. It's going way back to the cotton mills and things like that, so yeah.
So that's like real Manchester, isn't it?
Yes, real Manchester. This was the heart of Manchester, the focal point, you know, all the ships when they docked, they came here. This is the centre.
Incredible.
The heartbeat.
The heart. And one thing that's always kind of wrong with me about the heart of Manchester is its gumption. It's a working city, and it's about, you know, resilience and just getting through things.
Yes, very much so, and it still is. I mean, this is a great landmark. People come from all over. A lot of overseas visitors. This is one of the first places they want to actually come to because of the history and also the previous bombing way back, and how Manchester got through that.
Right. And you have a bit of a connection with the Royal Exchange.
Yes, I do. I was at Manchester University, and I was won 2 major awards for my designs, and it was Royal Exchange that noted that and put me there in the limelight, and I run exhibitions and workshops here for local people from all different backgrounds, teachers, young people, the elderly. So for me, this is a rich tapestry. It's got people from all walks of life that still come. You know, right. They've not let that fear prevent them from coming here, and now we have the magnificent theatre right in the heart of the building.
It is quite incredible. What designs did you win an award for?
For jewellery design it was actually, and it was amazing because apparently what I do has never been done before. Right. And I had a lot of interest, overseas interest, the Japanese, right, who were very spot on where design is.
What materials?
I work with wire, 0.2 silver wire, so it's as fine as your hair. Wow. And I use old dyeing tools to do that. And I do quite theatrical body adornments, Victorian collars, very much lace. It's about dressing, because I'm a bit of a character going back for the 1920s. I like when women knew how to dress, right? You know, so that's my kind of style. That's and funny. It fits. It just fits in nicely with the Royal Exchange's exhibition. So that was absolutely great, and I met some wonderful people, and still got those kind of connections going.
It's wild, and because the cottage industries started in Manchester, didn't it? Back in the old Industrial Revolution. So it kind of fits in with that story as well.
Well, exactly, and that's what it was noted for. I had people publish, journalists do write-ups on that. I'd entered different things, and each time that's what was noted. It tied in with the old cotton, because prior to using metal, I would use cottons to capture what I actually wanted to create. Right. So and that wasn't, I didn't do that consciously, and it just fitted in nicely with that.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So we've created this podcast, Real Talk, Real Life.
Yes.
And we decided we'll get together, have conversations.
Yes. Because
we found that our conversations were leading to all sorts of interesting places, and we thought, why not make a podcast and invite a larger audience to participate in what we might come up with. You're a very creative person, and I've got that creative side of me as well. And we kind of just it kind of just happened, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like, it's a bit similar to how I won the awards and then one thing led on to the other, and I think this is the next. Sometimes I don't think it's necessarily a one direction you're going to go. You might kind of just rear off into another avenue, should we say. And I think meeting you was like just gel. We just kind of...
Yeah, it was instant.
It was instant, you know, so... Hey, let's see where this is going to take us.
And like I like to say, you know, I always feel, I think I mentioned it to you before, I'm kind of an active observer in my own life.
Yes.
I get up in the morning and I think to myself, oh, wonder what's going to unravel today. And that's the kind of way I've experienced my life always.
Yes.
It's been quite a journey in a sense that obviously doesn't always go. A lot of the time, even it doesn't go the way that I would like it. But still, I'm part of that. You know, just observing what's happening and trying to intervene in my own life, I suppose, wherever I can.
Yes.
But I do feel that it's not really in my control, to tell you the truth.
Yes.
And when I say I intervene, that's basically what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to intervene now and then and see if I can guide it.
It's a flow, isn't it? It's a flow. There's a natural flow, and I find it is quite intriguing because I do similar myself. I wake up and I think, okay, what's today offering? What do I need to do? Do I need to implement something in today? And sometimes without me even doing it, something, whether it's a phone call or something, just seems to happen.
Right.
And before you know it, something's actually happening with that.
Well, it's kind of like our story as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I feel that there are opportunities. If let's say we call that opportunities arriving in the day, whether it's in a daily thing or a weekly thing or just whenever it happens, but it's so easily missed if you're not looking for it.
Definitely.
You know, if you wake up in the morning and you say, okay, look, because I mean I wake up many mornings not wanting to get out of bed, right? But I do get out of bed and. Whatever happens that day, but there are beautiful diamonds that you can come across if you're out to look for them. If you're out as a miner, you're out to look for those diamonds, and they do happen.
Yes, definitely. I mean, you're just saying diamonds. I call them golden nuggets. There's golden nuggets lying everywhere, and I think it's just becoming more attuned to yourself and having that awareness within yourself that anything is possible, and it's also about having the right mindset. I think it first starts within your mind. You know, we all go through something on a daily basis, whether it's upsetting news or good news, and it's so easy to just kind of sit back or lie back and wait for something to happen. I think you've got to play a bit of an active role in it happening anyway. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, if you want to meet someone, you're never going to meet someone sitting in the house 24/7.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know,
you're going to have some participation.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I was talking to someone the other day, and we were talking about, you know, obstacles in our way or brick walls or whatever, and you know, you come across a high, thick brick wall and you're on your path, and you can think to yourself, there's no way I'm getting over this, right? But if that's all you're going to do, you're never going to get over it.
No,
right?
Exactly.
So, you know, first thing, try, and if you try, you might still not be able to go over it, but then you can start problem solving. Well, if I need to go over, first of all, maybe I can go around it.
Yes.
Right? Maybe I can get help.
Yes.
And getting help is not just about getting help, it's accepting help.
Exactly, yes.
And I used to be somebody that never accepted any help from anybody, you know. I would rather do without than accept help kind of thing.
Yes.
And I realised after a long time that is not necessarily the most useful or healthy way of living.
No, not at all. I mean, you know, straight away I would kind of ask, was that Was that fear, or was that because you felt you'd be a failure to say I need help? You know, there's all these things that are going on in one's mind, and once again, it's one's mind. It's not necessarily what someone else is saying; it's what we're actually saying to ourselves.
Oh, no,
and it becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy. So yes, you know, it's something that I think we have to. Self-mastery starts with oneself. So you have to look at your mindset. I mean, you know, there's people that get up in the morning and go, oh, another day, it's raining. Oh, well, what's the point? You know, so you've already set your day. It's doom and gloom.
That's right.
But within an instant, you can change that.
Oh, no, absolutely.
You know,
it's all to do with our own outlook in life.
Exactly.
Now, there's so many people out there saying, no, you can change it, do self-affirmations, tell yourself you love yourself every day and all that. I personally don't connect with that, because I think that there are times which with hardship, and there's times when we're sad, and they're all legitimate, right? So there's no point being happy and jumping and laughing when it's a sad time, right? So we have to have a kind of a full repertoire and be able to come into connection with that full repertoire. That's on one side. On the other thing, though, we have to participate. We have to do what we can in order to enrich our lives. And I definitely used to be somebody that, when I think about it now, I think, wow, I was really not authentic with myself, because I was, you know, everyone puts on a mask to some extent, but I was putting a mask on when I said, you know, I don't want anyone help, because if I accept help from someone, I'm kind of thinking to myself, well, that makes me a kind of a weak kind of person. And,
exactly.
Right? But once I got over that, and it took a while, right? Once I got in touch with the fact is, you know, I don't care if I come over weak, because actually that vulnerability strengthens me at the end of the day, and it's a paradox.
Exactly. And I mean, the thing is, I think you have to look at that and know where did that come from? What was that instemmed in your childhood? Was it, you know, through your profession, your working life? Was it you that just kind of, you know, when someone actually says something, you can actually own it and then repeat it back to yourself, and it becomes self-fulfilled prophecy. Or, for example, I mean, there's always been something in me that no matter what, I've always known that I will come on top. I will come on top. If I look at my past, my timeline from the past, I know I've always had this thing that I've not seen it as a weakness. I've seen it as a strength, because it's helped me to get over it.
Right.
So do you see?
So now your experiences become part of your strength.
Exactly.
Even though at the time it might have been very difficult.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's how you overcome. It's how you overcome that. And I think there's a lot of good things out there, but I think you no matter what it is, you have to actually own it at the end of the day. You have to own it. It has to belong to you. Whatever you feel is what then you give back out into the world. If you don't truly feel that, it doesn't matter how many times I say to you, well, do this, and here's a way you can exit from that. If you're not feeling that, if that's not really at your core, the core of your being, nothing's going to change.
And people realise that.
Exactly,
don't they? So every experience is basically a learning experience.
Yes.
So if I was to ask you, this podcast that we're doing now, what from your point of view, what do you want this podcast to be? What do you want it to do?
Well, I believe that everyone has a creative outlet. We've just not tapped into it. The amount of people that say, I wish I was creative like you. And I have to say, no. You have got, you're creative too. You have to tap into that. I didn't necessarily know what my creativity was, but I tapped into it. And I tapped into it mainly because I was told that I would not be successful. I would not succeed. So that made me think, no one has a right to say that I'm not creative.
Right. Because you felt creative?
Because I felt creative.
Right.
I felt stifled, but I didn't actually know what that was, what it meant. Now I do, and it was because I was trying to live up to someone else's standards.
Right.
What they were telling me, how to be creative, and what someone that is creative does.
Right.
And for me, your creative could be making something as simple as a cake.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something as simple as knitting something.
Yeah.
People, we have this high standard of to be creative or to be a designer, because we've got all these labels around them, that it's something that no one can do and I'm unique. We're all unique in our own right.
Yes.
But it's believing if you are, and that makes a difference. Once you believe and connect with that, you'll find you don't just have one area of creativity. It flows endlessly.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how do you see this podcast contributing to that?
Connecting with people. I think first and foremost, as we're speaking now, there'll be people that go, yeah, they'll be feeling something from it because they're identifying with it, and that's what I truly believe from my personal experience working with people and just talking to people. That's what we want. We all want to connect somehow.
Right.
We all want to connect, and sometimes we don't know what that connection necessarily means because we have a high expectation of ourselves and what's been put on us. For me, it's about just being who you are,
right,
and speaking what's within you.
Yeah. And
that way we can find out what really makes you tick.
Right. So sharing it through this podcast.
Sharing it through the podcast, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I also think, for me, that this podcast has a number of levels.
Yes.
The very, very, very simple level is, I just want to record our conversations.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I love my talks with you.
Yeah.
I just want to record them.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for you and me.
Yeah.
Right.
We can fall asleep too.
but I think there's value in it.
Yes.
And I don't want to lose that value of talking to you. And I think, you see, one thing I think is really, I'm using the word magical, but it's magnificent even, about conversations in general, is that we don't plan them. We don't think what I'm going to say in the next sentence. They come from somewhere very special, which I don't know where they come from.
Yes.
And we don't really know yet, even in science. And I'm a scientist at the end of the day. We don't know where that instantaneous information of conversation comes from, where it's not a planned thing. It's not a script. It just comes out.
It just comes out.
It's almost a very spiritual thing in a sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Even when Mozart was writing his symphonies as a young boy, they were coming from such a speed and from a place where nobody knew where it was coming from. He was just writing.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing for me about when I thought, when you mentioned that you would like to do a podcast, and I've done podcasts before, and I thought, well, the first thing I want to do, we've got special conversations, I think, so I want to record that. That's the first thing. Yeah. Second of all, if this can help somebody, if this can contribute to anyone out there who, if we get any listeners, but let's say we do, even if it helps one person say, you know what, I'm kind of resonating with what these guys are saying, and I too get a little strength or energy from that, that's brilliant.
Exactly, yes. And that's what it's about.
And I think that's what it's about. And I think in today's society, where, let's face it, people are suffering more today than they have ever in the history of the human race on this earth. And I don't mean physically. Of course, physically, we're actually in a period of wealth, and I'm talking about all over the world.
Oh yes, definitely.
Where we've never had before.
Yeah.
But spiritually, mentally, whatever way you want to call it, emotionally, we are suffering more than ever.
Definitely.
And there must be a reason for that. And you kind of hit on it as far as I'm concerned, and that's the sense of togetherness, the sense of connection, the sense of community. And I think if this podcast also connects us with people out there, and gives them a sense of connection to us, then that's our kind of little contribution to making the world a better place.
Well, exactly, yes. And I mean, I think that you've just said it. I'm a talker. I've loved talking from since I was so young. I remember my father always saying, oh, by Christ, this child, yakety yak. It was, why this, why that? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think, you know, I've always liked to be able to communicate with people on all levels, all different backgrounds, you know. And I find now technology, if you know, I mean, I take public transport and everybody is just focused on the phone. No one looks up, no one smiles, no one says hello, no one says excuse me. It's almost like they use their phone as some way of, I don't know, I've not actually come to how to kind of formulate what's going on there. But I'll give you an example. This beautiful young woman that I always see, and I'm you know, I'm quite an open person, and I always like to say, you're looking really lovely, you know, and things like that. And I just went to say hello, and before I actually could finish the hello, she was just pointing to her ears to say, I've got headphones in, and she put her head down, and I thought, wow, I actually wanted to give you a compliment.
Yes. And there's no connection.
None at all.
And I think this is one of the symptoms, if you like, or maybe even causes of our modern day suffering, is that one, we're disconnected from each other, and two, is that when we're, and I'm not against social media, internet, but there is something about the comparison when we see so many people and so many different things and so many choices and so many options. We know even from modern psychology that this can be confusing to our own brains. And second of all, we have this inbuilt thing that we want to compare ourselves all the time, which is not a healthy thing to do, generally speaking, because getting back to what we said at the beginning, everybody is unique.
Yes.
And if everybody is unique, it's not necessarily the most useful, healthy thing to compare yourself with somebody else, because they're different than you.
Exactly.
So you're not going to be like them ever.
No.
Right? No matter what you do.
No.
And that struggle can cause emotional pain. So unfortunately, that's what we've got to live with. But if we can get a message out there by our own modelling and by our own experience, that connection is what, at least one of the things that will contribute to a higher quality of living in this world, then I think we've done our job with this podcast.
Definitely so. And I mean, I'd be quite surprised if we didn't get any positive feedback from it, because I think this is more about, it's not about me and you, what we've done and, you know, anything else. It's about connecting. It's about connecting with people, people that, you know, are desperately wanting to connect. I've got these things going on. And for example, you said something earlier on. I didn't have those designs in my head. I just knew that it triggered something off when I was told more or less that I wouldn't succeed, a certain, you know, expectation, and I just knew that was a lie. That was a lie. That could not be true. And I remembered, you know, just kind of doing self-talk, and then just unraveling these designs, these patterns just ever flowing in my mind, and I just got these tools, and I just was, from the Friday evening, and this is no word of a lie, from the Friday evening right up until Monday morning that I had to offer them at 9 o'clock, I'd non-stopped apart from maybe a coffee break from that, and I had 2 new collections.
That's wild. And you won awards.
And I'm the only person that's won 2 major awards before and after.
Fantastic. Okay, Loraine, I think that's going to do it for our first episode. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Me too. Looking forward to the next.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you. Bye.